When you hear about a developer making a game that is completely different from what they are known for, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Is it something like The Adventures of Cookie and Cream from Soulspawn studio From Software, Einhänder, a shoot 'em up from Final Fantasy developer Squaresoft, or whatever Platinum Games were thinking with this abomination? But what I want to talk about is a similar case of unusual games for a certain developer, and that is the team behind the Yakuza games. And while the Yakuza series mainly consists of story-driven open-world fighting games, or in the newer entries turn-based RPGs, is Binary Domain a linear futuristic third-person shooter, a game that only shares one similarity with the studio's former projects. And that is the place of occurrence, Japan. Binary Domain is set in the year 2080, where huge floods made most of the world uninhabitable, and huge parts of the population have died, which led to humanoid robots being needed as the main labor force, and in the course of this, a company called Bergen used its influence to cancel a lawsuit from another company called Amada that Bergen stole the technology for those humanoid robots from. That led to Bergen controlling 95% of the market. And years later, the Bergen headquarters is being attacked by a humanoid robot that looks and acts like a human and doesn't even know it isn't human itself. Amada is suspected to be responsible. You, yourself, would take the role of Dan Marshall, a US Special Force soldier who is part of a so-called Rust Crew, which is an international special force that is sent to Japan to arrest Joji Amada. The core gameplay of Binary Domain is the third-person shooting where you defeat the artificial threats with a variety of weapons and explosives that range from pistols and assault rifles to EMP grenades and homing rocket launchers. And while you don't have a wide range of options in your arsenal, every single one feels unique and balanced enough to not seem exchangeable. In addition to that, the disassembling of the robotic foes is done in a way that always feels incredibly satisfying, where it doesn't matter if you fight one of the basic humanoid enemies or one of the unique bosses, even though tearing apart a huge enemy's armor with a rocket launcher feels like something else. Also, the visuals impressed me sometimes, because for a 12-year-old title this game is quite a looker. But this game also has some issues, beginning with the facial animations, that sometimes make the characters look closer to my sleep paralysis demon than an actual human being. However, this is something I can easily overlook considering this game's age. Yet, that is not everything that bothered me. What also really annoyed me was the AI of your companions, that seemed so addicted to running in front of my bullets that it made me believe they were in a toxic relationship with their own will to live, or that half of its source code consists of early 2000s emo rock lyrics. And when you consider the trust system, which represents the relationships you have with your squad members, that is negatively affected by shooting your mates, you get even more annoying situations. Also, it doesn't stop there. The game's biggest issue is the performance, especially later in the game. When there were too much effects or giant enemies on the screen, I could almost feel my trusty PlayStation cry. That led to those encounters feeling much more frustrating than they should have. So to sum things up, with Binary Domain you will get a game where a developer tried something new for a change. And you can feel that. While playing, you will notice some really good ideas and mechanics. But, like with all things in life, not everything will work first try, or at least not as intended. And even though my review might not sound like it, the positives easily outweigh the negatives for me. So if you're looking for an around 10-hour long linear shooter experience, Binary Domain is a solid choice. But I would recommend to buy the PC port to avoid the performance issues I had with the console version. If you watched until now, thank you for that. Maybe consider liking and subscribing if you don't want to miss any future videos. And I hope to see you next time.